hiking a mountain at 3 in the morning to show you that I'm unhinged, that I'm crazy and passionate, and I'm angry. But most importantly, I can be a torch in the dark. Trading is a lot like the desert. Scarce nutrients, desolate. It doesn't even seem like you could eat here or live here. But like the desert, I'm familiar with the pitfalls of trading. And so I started my own VIP Discord because I'm mad. I'm mad at the financial system. I'm mad at our leaders. I'm mad at the culture. And most importantly, I'm mad at myself for forgetting about my edge and my purpose. And so I owe you guys to come out and share my strategy. So click the link in my bio. It's not scary in the dark. There's moonlight and we got flashlights. We don't need to see what's on the other side of the mountain to know that it's gonna be a good time, that it's gonna be worth it. You don't have to see the end result, but that's all you guys are used to seeing. You're used to seeing some guy juiced on steroids with crazy abs, or some guy flexing his Ferrari. All you want to see is the end. When the end is not what matters. It's the middle and the beginning. I'm walking up this mountain like it's nothing. I can see fine. It seems scary. It's a giant black specter in the background of the city landscape. You think it's treacherous and there's snakes. What if coyotes eat my asshole? You imagine all the worst case scenarios of what can happen. But one thing my brother taught me is usually the worst case scenario doesn't happen. And being courageous pays off. It doesn't matter how smart you are if you're a coward. And think about what dumb, courageous people think of cowardly, smart people. Gosh, they must hate them. Because imagine if a smart person had courage. How freaking scary that would be. The most important part of trading is the most important part of hiking. It's that you just keep climbing. It doesn't matter how hard your legs burn or how much you got to use your brain to calculate the positions. It's gonna be hard, and it's gonna take your whole brain to figure it out. And that's a headache. That's hard. No one wants to do that. Give me the latest bot. Give me the latest algorithm. Didn't AI figure that out already? No one wants to do anything themselves. This is why there's an opportunity for us. Because everyone's weak, we must be strong. We have to show people that this is still doable. That you can walk the treacherous path step by step and make it to the top. And I don't care if I have to climb this mountain 1,000 times. I'll get there. You know, it's weird to be so sure of your strategy being profitable and then still being frozen by fear and apprehension. Maybe I wasn't afraid of the bad things that could have happened. Maybe deep down, I was afraid of the good things. I think I was afraid of what a successful version of me looks like. Because for him to exist, think about what has to go. So I hid away. I skirted my responsibilities to my family to keep trading, to keep grinding. And I'm happy with where I ended up, but it could have been so much better. We're not going to make the same mistake again, because I actually don't think we're going to get that many chances left. And so this year I want to visit places around the world, nice places, and places specifically that us crypto people would want to go to. Maybe we'll have our own Cipher Wizard Metropolis.
This guy, this was nuts. He was getting like
become a tiger, I needed to be a chicken, and then a frog, and then a cow, even a worm for a little bit there. But I know I'm a tiger now, because I earned my stripes. Isn't that crazy? How you can stack bricks in your mind? I hike this mountain like damn near every day, but I've never hiked it twice in a row. And an old gentleman just walked past me and he said, "How many laps you doing?" And I said, "I never done more than one, but I'm gonna do a second lap now." And it's a momentum lesson. What just happened to me there? I've been building momentum all year, and then eventually there comes a day where all of a sudden I'm just getting twice the work done, because I realize that I can do it, and that's momentum. And I'm gonna take this principle, apply it to my life, and tie it together poetically in a way that no one's ever seen before. One thing I love about hiking is it teaches you to take risks. Every step is a challenge, and every step you could trip, twist your ankle, bust your tailbone, crack your skull, and you don't have to do crazy daredevil stuff. But I've never felt bad going on a hike. Walking in nature, it doesn't matter if you've just crawled, you're Asmongold and you just crawled out of your mom's basement after playing World of Warcraft for 8 years, like, or you're already a Chad. It always helps to get out in nature, walk around, look at some rocks, touch some grass. I really highly encourage you guys to do so. I'm scared for 2024. And it's not a fear of apprehension. It's a fear of duty. It's a fear that, like, I really know that I am going to do what I want to do this year. And that's scary. Knowing that I have to stick on my principles, stick to my word, stick to my mission. It's like the soldiers in World War II on D-Day. You know they cried before that boat opened up. But did that make them any less brave? No. Fear drives us. Don't listen to these people saying to be fearless. If you're fearless, you're not tackling anything scary, right? Do we scare other traders away by saying that a trader needs to be emotionless and have no heart and be numb to the victories and losses and just be numb? Someone with no feelings, someone who isn't passionate, will never succeed at trading. In fact, I could see it being very dangerous, because the moment you take a big loss, you're not going to feel that loss because you have no feelings. You're numb. that's the person that I'm afraid is going to downward spiral, drain their account, and get completely wrecked. Happy New Year's. Talking about growth can be discouraging to the people who need that talk the most. Let me explain. Because if your leg is broken, or you are heartbroken, or you got wrecked on the exchange, or any major setback, you don't need someone lecturing to you about how to generate growth, because you know how. You just experienced a setback. One of your branches was just chopped off, and the whole tree is lopsided now. And to grow again in the shadow of what once was will only lead to ruin, because that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over. What you need to do is you need to regrow, which means growing in new ways that you never did before, taking risks, going way outside your comfort zone, becoming something new. So many celebrities are dead because they felt trapped in the shadow of old branches. And I've been thankful to hear the stories. And I'm not going to make that mistake. I'm going to regrow different, better, and stronger than I've ever been before. And I'm going to earn everything the hard way. Oh yeah. The OnlyFans thing was a gift from God. We needed to know as traders how fake the fabric of our lives is. Did you guys know that you were not able to share technical analysis on OnlyFans? I didn't. So because I took a risk, put my reputation on the line, think about how much firmer your guys' beliefs are. Think about how much stronger we are, united against sin. Because I was in the position to take that risk. And so I did that because I had to, and I knew that I could. And it wasn't about my trading community. It was about us. You know, Jason Casper's always been here.
This
I just
guy,
wasn't ready for a lot of the
nuts.
lessons that
he was getting like
he was really teaching. You know, it's like what he teaches about the charts is apparent. His feats of strength are valid and real. The testimonies of the people in his crew are real. He's a real person doing real things, getting real shit done in this world. And it's not just trading. It's like the fitness and how he prioritizes growth in his life, growth of plants and eggs from chickens and his family. And this is an overall mindset that I think really helps our trading. And I get that if you're coming in and you're just hearing me talking about this stuff and not trading, it seems a little weird because like you're looking for a step-by-step process on how to make profit right now. I get that, but I'm 6 years into my trading journey. Like, I have already been convinced that trading is real and that it works. It's this other stuff that I'm still figuring out. The trading spirituality, the trading psychology, the discipline, and like the time management. These are all things that I wish people were talking about full time when I was getting into trading. But all I found was the step-by-step, how to get onto the exchange, how to blow your account as fast as possible. And so, you know, I feel like the meaning that I'm providing you by talking about these things transparently, like talking about my journey, maybe you won't understand it right away, but I know that one day you will. And one day I will look back at this version of myself that was willing to come in front of the camera
you know, as someone who was always camera shy and not a social person, it means like so much to me that I've built up to this point. And I just want to keep going. I want to build that momentum. So yeah, thank you guys for your support once again. Just a little update on the floor treadmill thing.
Left hand, boom, good. Again. Straight up. Boom, slip, boom. Even if this is still here, the shot is here. You see it?
It's underneath
That's
your arm.
where my chin is.
Damn, okay. Yeah.
So if I throw so you jab, I throw the right hand, boom, my chin. He been going for like an hour already, man.
If you were here at the beginning, you would have seen a lot more hard work, but
And that's life.
yeah. They don't see you at the beginning, Mike. That's such a good point, man.
They see you.
They don't see the maximal
They
effort.
see you and you're already tired.
Yeah, and then they judge you. Yeah, that's such a good
Fuck the
lesson.
judge, bro. I'm proud of him, man. He came in here, you know, not necessarily his favorite element. And he's doing it. He's going through it. So, good for him, man. Shout out Market Cipher. You don't have to keep doing it. As the opponent, I could just stand here and get all my camera time that I want. You can't make me look at you. I don't even have to look at you. What up?
You got me there, bro.
But I can choose to be like, man, I don't want to just keep staring eye in eye with this guy that's in my life.
Who is this guy?
No, it's not who is this guy. It's any guy. That could be my opponent too. It could be someone famous. Who the fuck is this guy to me? I don't care. It's not even about the fight. It's about moments in time. 4 minutes spent, what, staring into another man's eyes? No!
That is pretty good.
I want to stare into some pepperonis. Some peaches. Come on.
You can't have Mike. My brother said not to hurt me. I can't go home with a black eye.
That's okay. Either one of y'all do shit to me.
You can't hurt me because I'm going to pay you Bitcoin.
It's freedom, in a way, for a hungry man who sometimes, like Theo Vaughn asked me, do you like getting hit a little bit sometimes? I was like, yeah. It's like something you can learn. Like the same feeling as punching someone. It's not as great. It's better to punch someone. And you're like, oh damn, I knocked him the fuck out. And then sometimes you'll be like, I want to feel it. Give me a little something. You ever had your shit pushed in?
What do you think of boxing so far? Like, what, for your first day?
Dude, I love it, man. I was hiking like every day for about a year, and I was not fighting. I was just doing bodybuilding and hiking. So I definitely had like endurance training, but this is like the next level. Like I definitely have been taking it slow. Like I didn't just jump right into fighting, but I definitely feel like I had this steady baseline where I'm just like training endurance, and I'm coming into this with heart and determination at this point. I'm not coming in here as like a mental scrub. Like, you know, I got like the anger, I got the power and the punches. I just like don't know the moves, you know?
Think about coming back?
Oh yeah.
I see you on Instagram. Play yourself.
Mike's logo is on. Yeah, seeing my company logo on his shorts over there on the wall, it's like I actually belong here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Market Cipher. Yeah.
What do y'all do?
We sell trading and investment software. So I was a nerd for so long, man. Like just stuck in the matrix. And you don't want to be almost 30 years old having missed this part. You know? Yeah. Yeah, man.
These dudes be starting like when they're 7 and stuff like that.
No one could ever catch up to them. Yeah.
Oh, we can try, man. We can try.
Yeah, that's the struggle, bro. Yeah. Thank God we're doing it now in our upper 20s and not in our 40s and 50s, you know? What's your name, bro?
Edson. It's like Edison, blah, blah, blah.
Edson?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, bro. Good group of guys here, man. young guys, fucking fiery, fired up, angry at the world.
Some of them are always,
But full of love. I
some of them
feel the
are
love.
always here. Some of these guys just here tonight.
Bro, if I was in Orlando,
Never see them again sometimes. That shit happens all the time. Never see them again. I don't know half of these people, but I'm here all the time, every day. The kids though, the kids, I know all the kids. They stay in this bitch. Shout out to their parents, giving them something. And Coach JT is a great influence on all them guys, so he's great. They're out of town right now because Carlos is fighting in Tampa tomorrow.
So I'm gonna have your signature on these, and I'm gonna give them back to him so that he has the gloves as a memento. And I think I'm gonna give my dad this shirt here. I'm gonna have you sign this shirt, and I can give this to my dad.
Okay, cool, man.
Thank you, Mike.
Yo, what's up, guys? And so shortly after that training session with Mike, I ended up going to Miami, continuing my push-up challenge, and I never stopped. I never stopped streaming, never stopped trading. And I went on to do push-ups every single day. Look at all these shorts. And it was weird, you know, it was strange getting in front of a camera, especially as a crypto guy. We like to hide behind JPEGs and GIFs. And everyone tells you to be anonymous and not put yourself out there because it's a dangerous world. But I just kept going with it, knowing I was small and underrated and no one gave a shit about me anyways. And I just never stopped. I knew Bitcoin would hit 100K one day. I kept going, and eventually one day we hit the end here. So, you know, while I'm done, you know, showing you guys transparently every little workout I do, I'm grinding in the shadows now. I'm going to be training in Florida again in 2025. I hope that this push-up journey that I did motivated you guys. I hope, like, the things I said at the start of this year motivated you guys. But it's time for me to be like a full-time trader and analyst on this YouTube channel now. So, man, I'm so glad we like rewatched that stuff because it's so emotional for me, man, which sounds cheesy, but a lot can happen in a year, man. Closing out the year here strong. 60% off Market Cipher if you use code HOHOHO. And also got that LeapFrog indicator that I created for my VIP here as well. So if you want this, you can shoot me an email in the description. That's also 60% off too. And let me know if my volume's okay. And I think I'm gonna get into some Bitcoin analysis here, but let me make a quick drink real quick. We'll get started in 2 minutes. Perfect. All right, hang tight for 2 minutes, guys, and we will get going here very shortly. Alrighty. Let's see, how many people do we got in here? We got a loyal few, 60 people in here. I know that people come for analysis, so people don't come for sentiment, so you know, it might be like a low view stream, but either way, we're getting down to business right now, folks. Looking at Bitcoin here. You know, 2024 in retrospect was the year of doing what we said we were going to do. Bitcoin to 100 racks, you know, 100K was the target. And it took a while, it took a struggle, but we did get there. And just like with my push-up challenge, you know, it's like you thinking, what is FG going to do now? Can FG keep the momentum from this epic thing that happened? In Bitcoin, you know, we're looking at Bitcoin the same way. Can Bitcoin 2x again and get to 200K? What is Bitcoin's plan now that it's hit this amazing goal? And a sad reality about life is that, you know, oftentimes we hit these major milestones and we find ourselves at the top of a mountain, and it's only downhill from there, you know? And so we creep up onto 2025 with a little bit of a bittersweet taste in our mouth. You know, having been saved in every way we could be saved. That's a quote from the Titanic. We were saved in every way we could be saved. And so to be greedy and to ask for more at this point, personally, I'm not. I'm expecting a healthy pullback sometime in Q1. And so I'm looking mostly at this Q4 2024 anchor, the dark blue anchor here. Given that this is the previous quarter's anchor, when a new quarter begins, which it looks like we're about to start this new quarter, pretty much at these ranges, the year's pretty much over. You can see that it's very likely that Bitcoin at some point in the next 3 months, like it could happen next couple days, we could just spike right down there to 82K. Right on New Year's Day, we could be down there. But we have to be mindful that this correction down to that previous quarter's anchor could happen anytime in Q1. And so if it happens now, it's actually happening very, very early. Which is why I'm actually open to upside. I'm open to, if the price can get back over the 5-day simple moving average. We zoom in a little bit here. There's some work Bitcoin's got to do. You know, for one, we're consolidating. And so anybody pretending like they know what Bitcoin's going to do is kind of talking out their ass. But you could make an assumption where if we lose the November VWAP, or perhaps a VWAP from election day, so we'll put a VWAP here over here on November 4th. If we lose that Trump VWAP, it is very, very likely that we get that extra follow through down to the Q4 VWAP down there. But one reality we got to be prepared for is if this Trump VWAP holds and we get a final blow off. The only thing is, though, is that by the time March rolls around, we are going to be back at this blue line. And so in my opinion, we've pretty much reached the end for now. You know, like even if this did blast up in Q1, we could go up to like 120K or something. But then it really is going to crash back down to this previous quarter's anchor here. You know, you look at previous quarters, look at this massive, massive bull run back here. A quarterly anchor comes and it's all over. Now look back here at the start of 2024. We had a massive dump at the start of the year. And where did we dump to? We dumped right to the year prior's October. See this? So the October anchors are very powerful when a new year comes. That's kind of where the price wants to start trading down to. even if there's an initial blow off, see this initial blow off here at the start of the year? This goes into middle of January. So going into this next quarter here, I would say do not expect Bitcoin to just rip to 200K and oh, you missed the boat, and you're not going to get humiliated. You're going to be rewarded for being patient and simply trading and simply taking your profits and not expecting the big move, if that makes sense. But as of right now, it does seem more likely that we are headed for this major quarterly anchor correction down here right now for the time being, purely because we are underperforming around our current monthly anchor, the December monthly anchor slope down, right? And then also the 5-day trend. You see this black line here? Kind of in this sideways down kind of mode. So, you know, it is possible we come down here, get a bounce, reclaim. Another thing is, like, a January anchor will spawn on this line, the new year to date, and actually there will be, you guys see how there will be that gap fill back up to the December anchored VWAP? So let's say we find ourselves down here on New Year's, right? People will confuse this for a macro bottom. But there's going to be, at the start of January, a pump up to this December VWAP as resistance. And then, you know, then you've got that larger correction down. Now, typically, when a new month spawns, we like to go back to the previous month's anchored VWAP. So it's not just a quarterly thing, guys. Watch. Let me hide this indicator real quick. We'll pick any month of the year. Let's just go back to like May. Sell in May, walk away. May this year was actually a bullish month. But you see that when June came, you see how it was only a matter of time before we came back down to that May anchor there? So the months ebb and flow like quarters. Let's delete that May anchor and let's do July. What happened in July? You see how it was only a matter of time before we trade. We start closing above the July anchor and we go back to that June anchor there. So the markets don't go in one direction. They ebb and they flow. And so when January comes around, we're going to expect however low this goes in the coming days, it's going to pump back up to the December anchored VWAP, which will then be major resistance because the larger move that's happening is a dump from the January VWAP down to this blue October VWAP here. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So the number one way that we can discern the trend is that 5-day trend, in my opinion. We're just going to trade whichever direction this black line has us in. Right now it's down. We're still in a short from up here. The VIP's been pretty quiet last couple days, end of the year, guys, not gonna lie. Because this is the short trade that I have out right now in the VIP. Still sitting in it. I took some profit at the 5-day simple. But this is the trade right here. You put your stop behind that December anchored VWAP. So if we reclaim support out of that monthly resistance, then, you know, screw it. The short is a bad idea. But as for now, there's no guarantees that we come back to this December VWAP until January hits. Once we're in January, it becomes a lot more likely to pump up and hit that December anchored VWAP. Eddie Wally in the chat's asking me if I'm a scalper or a swinger, but I'm definitely a swing trader. I like to catch these big moves between these monthly and quarterly anchored VWAPs here. the anchored VWAP tool was created to... It's almost like an evolution of the intraday VWAP. It's like the VWAP used to be a scalping only tool, but Brian Shannon created the anchored VWAP, this tool over here that allows you to place that volume weighted calculation on any candle, and this opened up the VWAP calculation to swing traders. Pogo Stick says, been a while since he's been able to catch a live. Thanks for the knowledge. You're welcome, man. I'm happy to come out here. 2025 is going to be an amazing year, just like 2024. So this is the trade that we're looking at here on Bitcoin. Now, wouldn't it be awesome if we get that like quarterly dump? Q1 starts, where do we want to go? The previous quarter. So we dump to Q4 of 2024's VWAP down there at 82K. And you know there's going to be a bounce back up to that December VWAP, because now we're in January. So God forbid this breaks and we're on like New Year's and we're down here, right? I believe there should be a strong bounce because this is a January anchored VWAP. Where do we want to go? The December anchored VWAP. So get ready for up and down. In fact, this big down move down here to the blue line does not have to happen around New Year's. What could happen is this trade doesn't fully complete. I've got TP. We took one TP already at the 5-day simple. The next TP that you guys should take if you're in this trade is definitely at the Trump VWAP. This thing could seriously hold. Let me put a VWAP there on that election day. Ah, right there. I mean, this thing really could hold. And if you do bounce off and get a blow off end of January, you know, let's say we go up to like 120K and get some crazy shit. This is where the bulls on Twitter will be, they'll be so confident that they're going to say Bitcoin's going to 1 million once we get up here. But the problem is we will have not gotten that correction down to the previous quarter's anchor, and so that will be the beginning of the end once we get that final blow off. So if we do hold the Trump VWAP, just know we've got 3 months of pump action tops before April comes around. Aprils are not good quarters. Q2s are not good quarters for Bitcoin. Look what happened this April. So this April completely took the wind out of the sails of the fresh 2024 year-to-date VWAP. It didn't matter how bullish we were back here. Now, when I go back to 2023, we'll put a VWAP here on the year-to-date. You know, see how 2023 was also another bullish year? But look what happens when April rolls around. That's the beginning of just... Look how sideways this goes for so long. April is just the beginning of maybe not macro dumpage, but it's the end of the major move. And then look at the last April. The last April was a literal top. So it's the 2022 April. Look where we were there, a literal top. And as soon as that April had hit, look where we dumped down to. We dumped right down to the previous quarter's anchored VWAP there. So this is the 2022 year to date. Now imagine 2022 begins. You know, you're right here. Doesn't Bitcoin look pretty bullish at this point? You're thinking, oh, it's a new year. We're going to the moon. And this plays out. Let's see if I can get this to go a little faster. Jeez, this thing is slow. But look how bad we're performing around the year today here. Looks like we're getting a rally over that 2022 year to date. Oh, it's a fight. It's a fight. We're not getting that strong structure on top. Maybe April is a new chance for us. Let's see what happens. April's about to spawn. Boom, there's the April anchor. First thing it does is it tests the year to date. Oh, but now we fall under 2 quarters year-to-date VWAPs. That's not good. Look at this double quarterly resistance here. Look what happens when 2 quarters, you fall under 2 quarters there. Not good shit, but, you know, when that April came around, we got that dump down to the previous anchor there. So just to show you guys what could happen in April is some nasty shit. So, my take on Bitcoin right now is that we've got from either now or the next 3 months to trim profits, to reward ourselves for a years of hard work, and start regrowing the portfolio in the hodl position. You got to do all that in the next 3 months or so. But the way we perform around the year-to-date VWAPs is going to be super important. Now let's look at Ethereum real quick here. Ethereum, we're looking at Ethereum right now, struggling under 2 months of anchored VWAPs, the December anchored VWAP and the November anchored VWAP. This 8-hour time frame, that money flow is pouring out. Let's check the daily. The daily money flow on ETH is just kind of pouring out here. Little bit of hope, you know, there's a little bit of hope. I do like the hidden bull div here. You know, the waves come down here on the 12-hour. Price is higher up. But look at the larger signs here. The larger sign here is that Ethereum on its weekly chart didn't even break the 60 line with the wave momentum. And yet we went higher. This is bearish divergence, guys. So, you know, when the price goes higher, but these oscillator waves do not reciprocate, we need to be concerned. This is a weekly sell signal, a weekly bear div. And this just simply does not bode well for Ethereum for the next quarter. Things could certainly change, things could turn around, but we have to wait for those signs. We have to wait for those signs, and we got to see them. But what's interesting is that Ethereum already tapped that Q4 of 2024 anchor before 2025 even began. So maybe when the January anchor spawns, you know, the January anchor spawn, it'll spawn here. And we do come up, ETH does come up, and it tests that declining December anchored VWAP as resistance, and then more down from there. That's what I believe is likely for Ethereum. A kind of bearish Q1 kind of case for Ethereum. But in terms of trading it, we want to go by that 5-day trend. So we're going to zoom into Ethereum here. And we want to look at this black 5-day simple moving average. Now what's interesting is that this thing was pulled up a little bit in the last 24 hours because some old data, like the data from back here, see how it sloped down? This black line was back here. This data fell off the block. And so there was a chance for Ethereum to reclaim the 5-day simple and the November anchor in the last 24 hours. But we failed. So we did see a little uptick. You see this upslopeness of that 5-day simple. That wasn't necessarily because of this price. You see the price is like down here, and yet the 5-day simple is going up. How is that happening? It's because the data, the old data, was falling off the block. And that does give the bulls a chance to take the reins. When some dumpage falls off your 5-day average, you want to see the bulls take that back. And so, you know, right now, looks like the bulls kind of failed. Looks like the November anchored VWAP is still resistance. And ultimately, it's just not the best environment for longs. Now, let me show you an example around this black line. Let me make it thicker because someone in the chat said it's hard to see. I'll make it even thicker. Maybe I'll make it a little area too. I'll make it an area for you guys. Hopefully this makes it a little easier to see, man. But a perfect environment for longs on ETH is in this kind of more ascending structure here. Now, even when you dip below, that's still a good long because the overall trend of the 5-day simple is still up, and so you're just getting cheap Ethereum in an uptrend. But do you see how, like, you know, look at this higher low that gets formed, and then on Market Cipher B you see the lower low of the oscillator wave, and you're also in an inclined 5-day trend. Do you see how, like, this right here is the type of long that you should take as a leverage trader? Something that's already established, something that's already confident. A confident uptrend. You see overperforming over the monthly anchor down here. That November anchor sloped up back there. So I'd say this is a textbook type of long that I like to put out. And in terms of putting a signal out for my Discord group, I like to wait for this. Whereas where we're at now, you know, we're in a sideways. See this sideways environment? This is choppy. We're in the middle of a consolidatory range here. And so I can't say it's a no trade zone because our VIP is in a Bitcoin short right now. But in terms of new positions, I'm not really looking for anything new currently. FD Whites, good to see you in the chat, man. Let me give you a wrench, bro. Good to have you in here, man. But yeah, like these, you know, these levels are also good stop losses too. So you could always put your stop, you know, under one of these monthly anchors or under that 5-day simple. Would have done you good there. So many good examples of longing in uptrends just plays out a lot better. So right now, sideways environment, choppy, end of year indecision. Now, a lot of people are calling for deeper corrections, but altcoins got slammed, and so maybe Bitcoin doesn't have. Going back to Bitcoin real quick, Bitcoin may not break down from this pinch just yet. That's going to give the bulls a lot of confidence, a lot of false confidence, because any time from January through March, we could crash and dump all the way back down to this blue anchored VWAP here. But if we can hold it, and I'm telling you guys, if Bitcoin breaks 98.8, this December anchored VWAP here, we're getting that blow off top, and we gotta milk that shit. But just know that we enter profit taking phase, because this right here is the floor. Whether we get there sooner or later, that's the floor down there. Looking at Solana. Let's look at Solana real quick. Now look at Solana. Interestingly enough, giving us an uptrend here. This is an uptrended 5-day trend. So just in terms of that 5-day simple, it might actually be time to look for a little long here on Solana. But unfortunately, you're still underperforming around 2 months anchors here. So I like to have all these things in agreement. You know, yes, you are sloped up here on that 5-day simple. That's a nice upsloped 5-day trend there. But is it as good or as surefire as something like back here, where not only do you have the upsloped 5-day simple, but you're also above an upsloped November anchor and an upsloped quarterly anchor? You see the tailwind that is possible in these markets if you just remain patient. The leverage trading in this kind of environment is so much better. So I'm not putting out any trade signals on Solana, even though I do like how it's dug its way into quite a nice upward trend here. Arpad Skleezy in the chat says, why the 39-minute chart? No reason, bro. I'm just on these scalp time frames. I could use any time frame and do this, but I'm trying to analyze the 5-day trend. What is this black line saying here? And so let's take a look at Ripple here. Now look at Ripple suffering in a declining 5-day trend. It's not the time to long. Still in that knife catch territory. You're not missing much if you just wanted to wait for this to reclaim that trend. You know, if you're someone who's like frothing at the mouth and you're worried about missing this move on Ripple, what's going to happen first is this trend needs to be repaired. You know, you got to come up like this and, you know, you hop in at this point. It doesn't usually pay to enter in a downtrend like that, especially underperforming around the monthly anchor there. Ripple has done a pretty good job of clinging to that December anchor, but look how sideways that anchor is. It's very likely that at some point, especially if Bitcoin dumps, that Ripple does see these $1.60, $1.50 valuations. That's if Bitcoin dumps there and you get that altcoin correction. So it's just not the time to long Ripple yet, given that you got that 5-day declining downtrend. Let's see how Ripple's doing in relation to the Trump VWAP here. Put a VWAP on November 4th. Damn, look at that, all the way down there. And then we'll put one on the Fed day, the FOMC decision day, so. Ripple has this like hidden range. You know, the range, what you'd think the range on Ripple is like from this low to this high. But what all the VWAPs are saying is that the true range of Ripple actually extends all the way down here to $1.60. This might catch a lot of traders off guard. At least a lot of crypto Twitter traders. Not you guys, not me. Because we have these anchored VWAPs staring at us right in the face. But you guys can imagine how once 2020, maybe the new quarter is the catalyst Ripple needs to get that correction down. So maybe, just maybe, January comes around and that is how we get this larger move from wherever the January anchor is down to that blue previous quarter's anchored VWAP. Gosh, I hope Ripple holds that shit. That would be a nice, really textbook bullish level for Ripple to hold. Mickey said, I made one mistake with XRP, sold a little too early. That's okay, man. Selling early is okay. Taking the win. Nothing wrong with winning by decision. But if you were thinking about buying back into XRP, at least wait for the 5-day trend to repair itself. Don't get that FOMO. Looking at the stock market here, because this is so important. Do you guys see the stock market digging in on got that previous quarter test already here? The only thing is, there are some rickety signs here. Like, man, look at the fact that the December VWAP here confirmed as resistance, pulling that 5-day trend ever so slightly to the downside. Seeing what's possible on the S&P, you know, you don't really want to be bearish on the S&P, but when other quarters began, we get those big dumps, sometimes all the way down to the year to date. So like in Q3, we got that crash down there. And in Q2, we got that crash. And so we are seeing some of the nascent baby signs of that happening when you lose the monthly anchor. Especially if we do start closing under 5,900 here on the S&P, that is when you kind of get that larger move to the downside there. So definitely watch this signal here. You know, can we hold quarterly support on the S&P and undo the damage from this downtrend here? Look at this kind of like upward sloping wedge here. Anybody who's charted for a long time knows that this is kind of a dangerous pattern, man. When you come back up and you retest that rising resistance as resistance and we don't reclaim and shoot to the upside again, that's not good. So knowing that the stock market is going through somewhat of a rickety time here in the charts with the onset of a new quarter happening here, makes sense that the cryptos are equally as uncertain. We got our first chart request. I'm down to get into chart requests because this stream's already been going on for a while. And I'm down to do a couple chart requests. So OG Punyama wants me to look at Nvidia, since we're already looking at stonks here. Looking at Nvidia. Nvidia pumping up and getting that retest of the previous month in December. We retest the November. That's that teal anchored VWAP. Kind of like, it is on top of its December anchored VWAP here, but if we lose 136, Nvidia is in trouble again, because it is in a downtrend. You see the black area? That black area is still kind of down. We're looking at a third lower high on Nvidia here. Looking at the weekly. Definitely some stacked up bearish divergence here on the weekly. I do see, man, we really got to zoom in here. Look at that zoom in though. Evidence of a pinch here on the weekly here on Nvidia. So when it's looking like this, when you get these kind of mixed signals, we really got to zoom in and we really got to pay attention to our levels. We've got the white monthly anchored VWAP. This level definitely has to hold, or else your next major anchored VWAP support is like down here, the July anchor, and that's not a very like convincing anchor to even dump to, like a random quarter. What likely happens is like a larger, what's probably gonna happen if this does go bearish on you, bro, is like we get the new quarter, 2025 begins, and you can imagine a new purple year-to-date VWAP spawning on my LeapFrog indicator. Let's say we're up here. It wouldn't be like much of a stretch to dump from one year-to-date VWAP down to the previous. So, not the time to tell your grandma to buy stonks or crypto or really anything. Everything is like very overpriced because, you know, objectively speaking, we are not at or below year-to-date valuation. So this is just some overpriced stock right here at the end of the day. When the new year comes around, that new year-to-date could end up being support or resistance. We'll have to watch it. But if it becomes resistance, well, shit, man. The most likely scenario is that it dumps back to the previous year's year-to-date. So, I do hate to be bearish on Nvidia. It's a very bullish stock. But it could come down pretty hard. It's got a big cushion. It could come down pretty hard and still look amazing in the overall picture. Now, a really screwed up scenario is like, let's say we get this year-to-date spawn, you know, and then this year-to-date continues and the price is like doing this. Now, if you fall to this point and you're fighting under 2 years year-to-dates, do you see how that would probably lead to more downside? Because that's 2 years year-to-dates that are bearing down on you as resistance. So, it's a lot of if-then statements piled on top of each other. I could do this on Bitcoin too. You could do this on any chart. You could just imagine. We're back on Bitcoin here before I get into any other chart requests. Imagine that new year to date. Let's say we're here. The year to date, what happens if it starts moving down like this? And 2024's year to date is like this. And we just lose 2 years year to dates. Now, a lot of people will say, buy here or you're a retard. But falling under 2 years year to dates is evidence of a bear market. And so we may get an extended multi-quarter bear market, only seeing relief until 2026. Look at the last, to give you an example of what happens when you fall under 2 year to dates. Now let's put one on 2021. We're looking at this old cycle here. And previous cycle tops look very similar to this. Ultimately, like a new year will come and serve as the death gong. But see 2 year to date VWAPs here. As soon as you fall under 2 of them, you do kind of play around and you'll confirm that old one as resistance, but then you get that bear market. And so these are major, watch the year to dates is what I'm saying. Those year to dates can be heavy, man. They can make or break you for sure. Let's get into another chart request here. Look at H-bar and then Planetar. H-bar is very much like a miniature Ripple. You know, guys, you know how Ripple also has a sideways December VWAP? Also has a huge hidden range that nobody's really looking at. Now, you think this is the range, right? But no, like the range actually extends all the way down to the previous quarterly VWAP. And so when a new quarter spawns here on January 1, what likely happens is we make our way down. You could get... The thing is about that dump idea on H-bar, or pretty much all cryptos, because all cryptos are in the same boat here, is like, you know, you got the December VWAP. If we start closing over this white line, then we put that short idea on the back burner, and we go into full-on squeezing the juice out of the blow-off top that is upon us if we start closing strongly above the December anchored VWAP. Could happen. We're prepared for it if it starts happening. But closes under the current month's VWAP are inherently bearish. You zoom into H-bar, you see the 5-day trend beginning to die. You see that sloping down there? Very rickety times for H-bar here. What actually could happen is a very quick move. Very, very quick move, slicing down. And you get a total clean slice down there to that 18-cent level there. Very dangerous times for H-bar in the medium term here with a freshly declined 5-day trend. You know, confirming that as resistance here. Seems unlikely to pierce all the way down there because H-bar is performing so strong, but that Trump VWAP back there on November 4th, this is probably going to be retested at some point in Q1. So if it's not at the beginning of Q1, it'll be in the middle or the end of Q1. So probably the sooner the better, right? Mr. Mickey says he had a comment about Nvidia. Nothing wrong with the stock, just the economy. I agree, man, I agree. Jeremy says if Q1 is not bullish, there will not be a sell in May and walk away and this cycle is over. Mickey says the cycle is over. I'm a little cautious about declaring the cycle over. Now, what I am confident about is that we reached a top. You know, H-bar, cryptos, stock market, everything looks pretty messed up on the weekly. We get these weekly red dots. Just like how H-bar got a red dot over here, and we saw a 34% correction off that. But was that the end? No. And when we look at Bitcoin, you guys remember what happened to Bitcoin during the COVID era? We had this huge bear market from the ICO pump. And when this thing started coming back, everybody was gung-ho again. Nobody expected the 70% crash that was coming our way. And so this, you know, this phase of the last cycle right here, this little area, is what I think 2025 could be. A little mini bear market. A fucked up, you know, in many ways, a bad, abysmal year in terms of price. But then it just starts roaring back at a certain point. So we got to be mindful of that, guys. We got to be mindful of where if we start losing 2 years year-to-dates, we can't lose sight of the fact that buying under 2 years year-to-dates is very good value. If you were Warren Buffett and you had $50 million to put into the markets, you tell your broker, get me in at or below year-to-date prices. And so you have to be strong when others are fearful. If 2025 ends up being a, quote, shitty year, it's actually going to be the greatest year ever because everything's going to be so freaking cheap. So make sure that your strategy has you lasting through anything, man. I just showed you an example where Bitcoin has an extended bear market, looks like it's coming back, and then has another little one before going up even higher. So sometimes you got to experience the lowest of the lows to get where you need to go. A couple other chart requests here. Sergeant Barnacles wants me to look at hype. Hype, not much data here. You can see all of my VWAPs are scrunched together because this chart was created on December 5th. So we're looking at a baby coin here. I'll have to zoom in a little bit, do some surgery. Hype, unfortunately, battling a 5-day downtrend. Now closing underneath all of its VWAPs. So since all these VWAPs are sandwiched together, they're all together, which means that the fact that you fall below under all of them is not a good sign. To FOMO into hype, I would have to see this 5-day trend repaired. I'd need to see closes above all those VWAPs there. Otherwise, what do you see? You see price had come up higher and the waves fell off. The money flow left. The money's gone. Cam S wants me to look at Link. Link is a coin that I put out a video. I said Chainlink to the promised land. Chainlink did, in fact, pump up super hard, more than most cryptos did. But like most cryptos currently, dealing with a declining 5-day trend, not the safest time to leverage long Link at the very least. When a new quarter begins here in a couple days, it does become likely for Link to at least come down another 8-9%, just down to the previous quarter's VWAP here, this blue VWAP, down there at 19 cents. What's crazy is that if Link just simply dumps from like 21 cents to like 19 cents, that's like a 9% move. So, a new year-to-date comes, maybe Link just shoots back down here to like its year-to-date. Maybe Link dumps another 20% or something off of this freshly declined 5-day trend here. You see that? That black area. But, man, gosh, hopefully cryptos find a bounce because this thing has a long ways up. If If we dump down to the year to date and then Link pumps back up to the high, that's almost 100%. So you'd be doubling your money. If we dip down to 16 bucks and you just buy Link, I think you could double your money. Just got to be mindful that, you know, when a new year to date spawns here, this is going to extend out. What you don't want to see is 2 year to dates just kind of tapering out, and it's just tired, and it's just a fuck job. So we really want to see how Link is going to respond around the brand new 2025 year to date. It's going to be very, 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 very telling. I've been anticipating this new year to date for like over a month now. We're right on the cusp of it. It's going to provide us tons of market clarity, and the window of opportunity might be thin because everything will look very clear for a little bit, and big moves might happen quickly. But just know that across all these cryptos, everything's going to happen at a different time. So just because you miss a move on Link doesn't mean you won't miss another move on SWI or another move on Litecoin. Like, a new quarter brings opportunity after opportunity after opportunity for like a month and a half straight. You just see all the charts flopping and groping around these VWAPs, huge gigantic swing trades all through the month of January. So don't get any FOMO, fear of missing out. The opportunities will come. Mr. Godfruit wants me to look at ADA. ADA. Looking like Ripple will look like in a couple of weeks. No, but in all seriousness, you can see how ADA didn't respond well to, ADA didn't respond well to the declining 5-day trend there. You know, losing that monthly anchor, falling down here. Getting a strong buyback at the quarterly anchor, but just still weak under this declining 5-day trend. Money flow still pouring out. You see like the overall money flow downtrend there. Your year-to-date on ADA is all the way down here. It's hard to see, but your purple year-to-date is down at 61 cents. And so, when the new year begins, it might be lucrative for ADA to dump down to this previous year's year-to-date, a 30% move to the downside. Which, if we're still in a bull market, that is your support. You know, a bounce off of a year-to-date VWAP, that's incredible volume-weighted support. If you go back up to the highs, you double your money on Cardano buying around that 60 cent level in Q1. But what you just want to be mindful of is when that new year-to-date spawns, is it just going to roll over? Are we just going to do this and just go into a bear market? That's my number one concern. We need to have that bounce at the year-to-date. I'm going to be monitoring that year-to-date strength. Mr. Filtners wants me to look at NIR. Okay, NIR here. Just completely in the gulag, struggling under all of its year's anchors. So, I mean, you've got the year-to-date, the purple one, the April anchor, the July anchor, the October anchor, the November anchor, and the December anchor, all bearing down on top of NIR. Just simply not, good value in the sense that it's like a Warren Buffett, long term. Maybe this could be a good time to start a DCA on NIR, because you're at or below year-to-date valuations. Any coin that's in this position, you actually may want to start a slow buyback into but just know that it is currently underperforming around all of its 2024 anchors. The weight of a new year to date may bear down on this poor little thing, this poor little crypto. But hopefully this 5-day trend like scoops up for you in the coming days around New Year. If these 5-day simples scoop up, we start climbing our way through here. Could start seeing hope on this thing begin to manifest. But right now under a lot of things, not in the strongest stance. From a leverage trading standpoint, I want a long near in an ascending 5-day trend on top of quarterly and monthly support. I want a long near over here with leverage. Over here, it's like, ugh. I'll start slowly spot buying, but this is just not looking strong quite yet. Anthony T wants me to look at the Dixie. Now, monitoring how the dollar is doing can give insights into how cryptos are doing. And what we see here with the Dixie is actually some kind of bullish stuff going on here. That you actually see a massive hidden bull div here I'm looking at playing out currently. So what I mean by that is you see this firm bottom that gets held here. So we hold a firm bottom on the Dixie's weekly, and yet the waves have sufficiently cooled off. The waves went lower. So this is a bullish disagreement between the price and the oscillator on the weekly. Definitely a reason why that chart pumped up. What's funny though is like, look, this is the start of Q4. The Dixie giga pumped, but so did cryptos. So that's an interesting observation there, but that correlation will soon come to an end because typically these things do not correlate. Typically they are opposing. When the Dixie roars to the upside, usually cryptos don't do so well. But you see us breaking that resistance neckline right there, and so the Dixie's probably gonna go up and revisit those highs, which going into the new year, I don't think it's not the best environment for crypto pumps, but given that we did go all Q4 of Dixie pumping and cryptos pumping, maybe that trend, the correlation continues, but not necessarily what you want to see. You don't want this chart to be looking bullish when you're expecting a big crypto bull run. Perhaps this is a big reason why Warren Buffett is sitting on boatloads of cash. Keep an eye on that Dixie chart. Rectful GG wants me to look at sand. Now, sand had a rough couple years. Walking through the desert on the way to the promised land. That's why they call it sand. Because you're walking through Egypt. It's on the long road, man. It's on the long road to recovery. Because this weekly sell signal is hitting sand just as hard as any other crypto. Underperforming around its year to date all year, shooting up, but you can see now that you pump into that declining purple year to date. Makes sense that you get that big pullback down into it again. This was supposed to be a bullish bounce area for sand. So if it is a bullish bounce area for sand, you want to wait for the green light. You want this 5-day simple to start curving up. You want to see us start breaking our way out of the gulag. Going up like that. what I see currently is that 5-day trend is still sideways down. Price is still underneath it. You're still knife catching, still early, and a new year is coming up. I'm very, very worried for sand, recognizing that the grass could get a little greener here in the medium term, potentially. But all I see right now is declining sideways trend, underperforming around an entire year's worth of VWAPs. And the big picture here is that we're looking at a coin that has really struggled to get back to its old 2022 valuations. Now, if this thing falls under 2 years year-to-dates and we get like another little bottom in 2025, you know, imagine a more healthy curvature. See this year-to-date, how it's just sloped down like that? If this thing was healthy, it would do something more like this, right? You know, some markets don't always make the most sensible moves. Sometimes they're erratic. You know, so maybe this thing comes down and you have like another bear market and then it starts coming up like that, you know? Maybe people were just a little early on sand there. It takes time for things to grow. Any other chart recommendations? Rodeo Vin asking about alt seasons in Q1. Maybe we could just look at this total 3 chart. Let's take a look at total 3. You got a weekly sell signal on alts, guys. You got the Hawk Tua iceberg event dissuading people from meme coins. Just a flooding of layer 1s and all these. There's just so many projects. The money gets spread out super thin. We hit some hard economic times, and it's easy to see how this chart could just come down a bit. Weekly sell signal here. Look at the 2-week here, freshly about to clip. 2-week money flow creeping in, but just dealing with a like larger ebb and flow going on. So maybe the new year to date, the new purple VWAP that's about to spawn on January 1, maybe it sends the altcoins down overall about 20%, and you find a bottom there or like under that year to date. So overall total 3 kind of holds this $450 billion low back here from like earlier this year. But there's like an ebb and a flow going on right now. Godfrey wants me to look at WMTX. I don't even know what this is, man. WMTX. Getting kind of a bearish little cross here underneath a declining 5-day simple, that black area. Underperforming around a downsloped December VWAP. Now this daily wave is, look how pinched this is getting here on the daily wave. Hasn't green dotted out yet, but if this thing does get a green dot, you'll see a lot of things begin to happen. You'll see that 5-day trend start to slope up like this. You know, maybe you do get a little green dot there on the daily, and this does actually pop up here. It could pump all the way up to this December VWAP. And right as it falls back down on that 5-day simple here, right there is probably like a good spot to long this thing. But right now, you're longing into a downtrend. You're just still knife catching this thing. So I would just say let it cook, man. Let it cook. Got a new quarter coming up too, so the new quarter could be dastardly. Maybe when the new year begins, it's advantageous for this to be trading back down at its year to date, down there, 27, 28 cents. Who knows, man? But yeah, man, wait for that trend to recover before you start schlonging that thing. Pogostick wants me to look at Baby Doge, man. I don't know much about Baby Doge. Baby Doge in a screwed up 5-day trend here. That black area sloped all the way down. Slipping through the gulag here, man. Just struggling in that gulag of yearly VWAPs. VWAPs everywhere. I may change my tune, you know, if Bitcoin finds a bounce and this thing green dots out here on the daily. I'm not too concerned about catching the absolute bottom like Jason Casper. I like to wait. I delight in waiting for this 5-day simple to scoop up, and you'll see me getting in here. I don't get in over here when the gropers are flopping. Don't be a flopping groper, man. If anything, you're actually like short. You're short from like up here already, and you're letting that short play out until this 5-day simple trend changes. That's basically where I would be at with this Baby Doge shit. If you shorted this at the top, you're already up 50%. I mean, you could see what happens. This is an example of what happens when your daily waves go over the 60 line. See this wave here? You know, when you lose that 60 line, that's a big deal. That's the relinquishing of the keys, the loss of the runaway train status. You relinquish your pump card when you lose that 60 line. And see, that was right at that candle. Right as we're swiveling around that monthly anchor. See that confluence there? You lose the monthly anchor and Market Cipher B60 line. Deeper correction became very likely at that point. Yeah, so that's Baby Doge, man. A little bit early for longs for now. Definitely. In the gulag. William Walker wants me to look at FET. Man, happy holidays to you guys. Turbo Daddy, good to see you in, man. Definitely going to be a good stream to go back to once we're deep into Q1 and we see some of these moves play out. This will be a fun one to go back. Had some good, we were like rewatching some old videos from the start of my YouTube channel. But FET here, underneath the gulag, we are underground. We are buried in the mass graves of Mao Zedong here on FET. How are we doing around that 5-day trend? Actually kind of has an ascending kind of 5-day trend here, so we're playing around here. Kind of up here. I don't know, man. It's good value from a Warren Buffett standpoint, but from a leverage trading standpoint, this has a lot of work to do before I'm schlonging this thing. This looks bad, man. Let's wonder where's the previous year's shit at on this coin? Do we have any support down here? Nope. So I just enabled last year's. See, this is last year's VWAPs that I put. We're even under that. So this is not performing too well, but things could change. You know, you could form like a bottoming triangle here. This could break up. If this does break up, your 5-day simple gets pulled up here. Looks a little better for the longage. Right now, though, I'm not a knife catcher, though. It's still kind of in that knife catchy kind of mode. Saqib, Mr. Saqib wants me to look at SWI. SWI is a coin that, gosh, it did so good this quarter. You see October pumping up here. November being absolutely legendary for SWI. Even December, which was a sideways month for most cryptos, for SWI, it's pretty sloped up. But right now, in the immediate short term, SWI is battling a very stiff 5-day downtrend, losing its December anchor. If there was ever a time for SWI to get a big correction, it would be now. It's a very strong fledgling coin that's been overperforming. And it's got a religious following who will hate me for doing this, but you know, a new year to date spawns right here. And not only is this a new quarter, and so you want to go back to the previous quarter's anchored VWAP, about a 30% crash to that $2.93 level. But it's also a new year, and so you could be dealing with a kick-started correction. No proof yet of this, but you know, when a new purple line spawns, sometimes it likes to kind of wick down towards the previous year to date. And so if you feel like you missed the boat on SWI, there's actually probably still hope for you in 2025. At some point next quarter, maybe not right away, but toward the end of the quarter, you're probably down here, unless I'm forced to change my tune. If SWI can regain some of these signals, I'll give you the signals that I need to see to like put that bearish idea on the back burner. Is we just got to be closing over the December anchored VWAP, the 5-day trend. This thing needs to come up, man. We got to come back over here and go up. The new year-to-date VWAP needs to be a bullish VWAP, not a bearish one. So, you know, if we pump up over this December VWAP, I would love to place a long here with my stop under that monthly anchor. Backup support there. We target those highs. That's a great long there, but the issue here is that that 5-day trend is not repaired. And gosh, who knows what a new year brings. Look how far down this is. For every VWAP here that we lose, that purple line does become more likely. So something I'll be monitoring going into 2025 is, can SWI keep up this momentum, or is SWI getting slowly chipped and whittled down back down to those previous year-to-date valuations? Now, big picture shit here. We're zooming out a bit. I'm going to delete everything except that year-to-date, just so you guys see a specific point I'm trying to make here. So this is SWI for the year, right? This purple line. Do you see how we never got a retest of that year-to-date? I don't like that, man. I think that if SWI just simply pulled back and bullish retested its year-to-date in 2025, Q1, that would be exactly what this chart needs. Just a flush out. Get rid of these arrogant asshole bulls who think that this thing can only go up. Get rid of them. And then once those people are wiped out, then SWI really could make some seriously big moves. Like if it does bounce there, that's a 200% move. Now, even if it needs to bottom out underneath that, let's say you get like a bear market and it's like bottoming and it does this, and then it goes up. You see that? How the year-to-date could actually be a major contender for like a short-term bear market next year. You want to be buying. These are the levels you really want to be scooping SWI up down here. Underneath $1. If you can get SWI under $1, god damn. If you can get SWI under $1 in the first 2 quarters of next year, you're looking at like 500% gains. So this is like the type of opportunity I'm looking for. And I'll be streaming and keeping up on these moves. I've wisened up on these VWAPs. I'm smart enough to know that if we are trending underneath a year-to-date VWAP, that's good value. See back here? Yes, this is where SWE looked the shittiest. But that's when you really wanted to invest in it, when it was underneath a year-to-date. So, I don't feel good telling people to buy SWE up here. I want to tell people to buy SWE down here. Does it have to go down there? No, but it's all just likelihoods. You know, we're looking at some bearish signs on Bitcoin, so I'm going to look at this on SWE like this too. And as a trader, I would happily enter some longs on SWE. Like I said, if this 5-day trend comes up, things start looking bright, I'll happily long it too. But I got that big picture kind of idea there on SWE. Oh yeah, man. Any other coins? Let's look at Giga. Giga is an interesting one because it's actually like performing pretty good around its monthly anchor here, and it's in an ascending. Look at the strong 5-day trend on Giga. So definitely a coin I'm looking at that's acting a little differently, acting a little strange for a crypto right now. Maybe this is bullish here. Maybe we're bullish on top of this 5-day trend and atop this December anchor. So be on the lookout for coins that are like behaving a little different. Sergeant Barnacle said, he mentioned Hype. I did look at Hype earlier, but I'll do one quick recap on it. It's not really looking the hottest right now, man. It's lifetime of VWAPs. We're closing under it finally here. You've got a declining 5-day trend in the medium to short term. So if you wanted to long Hype, you need to wait for that black line to be scooped up and closes under the VWAPs here. So if we started getting this, you come up like this, retest, boom, to the upside, there's a better long there when that 5-day simple starts scooping up. If it does. If it doesn't, there really isn't any anchored VWAP support like anywhere here. Like watch, like I'll put an anchored VWAP away at the beginning. There's just nothing. So what do? You put a... I'll put a freaking band multiplier up here. This is kind of like this is pure speculation. This isn't real data. These aren't VWAP lines going off of actual data. This is projections off of real data. So we're in Plato's allegory of the cave here, looking at shadows here right now. But these are some levels that Hype could potentially go down to. The previous low. Or if it has the same volatility that it had up here, but to the downside, you're looking at like a $20 Hype down here. That's if this downtrend that we're currently in continues to play out. Oh yeah, someone looked at Palantir, the Planetar. My brother is like super hard in this one, so let me take a look at this for you guys. Wow. So we're looking at some immense strength here. This is an outlier. This is something where we don't necessarily want to expect that this is going to play by the rules because of how bullish this is. You've got a very strong 5-day uptrend here, like pushing this up here. It's got a big green light in terms of just where the price, the levels the price is holding, the slope that it's got its anchors and its 5-day simple up into. You aren't necessarily the most worried about this larger bear div here quite yet, just because of how strong that price action is. But with a new quarter, a new year comes new possibilities. You've got a new year to date right here. Now, typically, when you get a new quarter, that is the best time to get these sorts of quarterly corrections. So we re-enable our anchors here. And while this is still all sloped up, at some point in the next 2 quarters, I would say, in the next 6 months, you may get a tapering down. In the next 3 months, you may get this kind of move down to the quarterly anchor, right? The previous quarter's anchor. That's a perfectly healthy, bullish level to retest in the coming 3 months. So if you're feeling like you missed the boat on Planetar, maybe try to get in around $60 as opposed to $84 in the next couple months. But it may take a while to get there because you're dealing with the upsloped, strong trend of all this shit. Now, if you want to, if you got that FOMO and you're trying to get in on this shit, I would say that you have to approach it prudently. You know, you could enter, that's fine, but you got to put your stop loss under that December anchored VWAP there. And you got to take what the market gives you here. You know? Because once we lose that December anchored VWAP, that's the beginning of a more sideways era for Planetar, which is the precursor for a corrective move on Planetar. So you've got this insane run. It might actually be more lucrative to just enter this long and just long it because it's in such a strong uptrend. Stop loss behind that monthly anchor. See what happens. But you got to be prepared for pretty much at any point from now, the next quarter, this kind of tiring out a little bit. Turbo Daddy says, what do you think of CL1? Exclamation mark. I have no idea what this is, bro. Oh, are we looking at crude oil? Let's see here. All right, we're looking at crude oil futures here. Crude. I'm so glad you made me look at this chart, man, because crude is just not looking like cryptos and stocks right now, man. This looks great. This looks great. I mean, I would guess that this pumps up to its year-to-date VWAP around the new year pretty much immediately. Like, the new year is going to kick this off real hard. You know, you're going to get a purple line right here on January 1. And it's just going to go boop. I'm telling you, like, that is going to happen for sure. Not financial advice, though. I mean, come on. Look at these waves trending to the upside here. Money flow on the daily, flipping green, doing the dirty work all through the month of December to build that structure. November getting pulled sideways. October slowly recovering. Might be a little bit of a fight. You know, that yellow Q3 anchor might be a barricade in the road, a short or medium term barricade in the road, but ultimately this thing's going up to 75. And what this reminds me so much of Bitcoin at the start of 2023. So let me show you. Now, Bitcoin at the start of 2023, you see what this new year-to-date did? Bitcoin was completely bottomed at the start of this year. And as soon as 2023 began, it was off to the races. And it had a target in mind. The target in mind was the previous year's year-to-date. So we put a year-to-date way back on January 1 of 2022. And you see how... Look at that gap that Bitcoin did right to the previous year's year-to-date. It's a huge correction there to the upside. So when I look at this crude oil chart. What was it? What was the ticker again? It's the L1. I think that we've been messing with the anchored VWAPs long enough, Turbo Daddy, where when we see, you know, 2 years of year-to-dates, look at that. You got 2023's and 2024's year-to-dates up here on crude. Everything is lining up for this to explode. It's a new year and a new president. Even if it's a dump down, even if we're in a larger downtrend, it's still just going to go up there and test those levels. New year, new me. Governful wants me to look at RGTI. Spaghetti computing here. It's looking at the spaghetti lines on the spaghetti stock here. This looks a crazy. Look at this crazy looking chart. This is an insane uptrend, dude. Jeez. Man, this chart, this is why I'm so glad that we get a new VWAP every month and every quarter, because what would we do if we didn't have this new year-to-date coming up in a couple days? When that new year-to-date comes, that's like your catalyst. Okay, finally we'll get that dump down to like the previous month's anchor, or perhaps, you know, the previous quarter or the previous year. Personally, I think that this is likely burnt out. Likely burnt out. You're about to get a... Let's check the daily here. Ew, man. It's really strong, man. It's really strong. It doesn't have a bear market coming anytime soon. Maybe a sideways period. Maybe a consolidatory period coming soon, but the slope of these anchors is so strong. You just don't want to short this thing, but just be mindful that a new year to date brings with it the possibility of that monthly correction, of that quarterly correction, and of that yearly correction. It's a very powerful junction, the beginning of a new year, and so there's no way of knowing how deep of a correction is needed. A monthly scale, a quarterly scale, or a yearly scale. You guys got to remember, the year-to-date VWAP isn't just the year-to-date. It's January, it's Q1, and it's the year-to-date. So, I wish I could give more information on this. Just know that it's doing very, very good. Even over its 5-day trend. Like, look how it's running away from a 5-day uptrend. This is insane. A little too speculative for me. I'm not jumping into this anytime soon, that's for sure. But to anyone who's in this, congratulations. Looks like it just SFP'd some major highs from back here in 2021, so maybe you are approaching a kind of resistance level here. Looks like this big macro bottom pattern, mostly for the most part, played out, so I think it is kind of due for just some sort of modest correction, but nothing that I would want to start entering a large swing short on quite yet, just because of look at that slope of those anchors, man. But yeah, man, that's I think that's it for me today, guys. Pretty long stream. In closing, we got the 60% off deal for 2 more days, guys. Get Market Cipher 60% off. And all the anchors that I was using in this video, if you want to trade and play along with me, you can buy this indicator from me in my email, which is in the description below. Just also 60% off, and it comes with a Discord as well. So my boy Gazgano has it in the chat there. But God bless you guys. What an amazing year it was for us. and 2025 is going to be freaking lit too. So let's get it, man. God bless you guys, and have a